All right, so getting into the next round, we got this hot stuff going, Jay. We just in the last segment we just talked about how the first rounds ended. Now we get to get into how those winners are going to compete against each other. So we're going to start off with the first one. We got the first seeded Phoenix Suns going against the fourth seeded Dallas Mavericks. We got, I don't know what percentage you'll put on Devin Booker because I don't think he's 100%. So I say maybe, I don't know, if I had to guess about a 65, 70% Devin Booker and Chris Paul going up against, I don't even know how healthy Luka is, but look, Luka getting the job done, right? Luka and a very, very confident Jalen Brunson going into the second round. What say you, Jay?
And I think off the top of your head, or at face value, this is Phoenix, and it's Phoenix convincingly. But I gotta say, although I've always felt like even when Booker got hurt, and even though the Pelicans showed us that they could compete, I always felt like Phoenix would win that series. But what New Orleans did, it made me question Phoenix moving forward. And I know I got in trouble a lot last year because I picked against them in most of their series. But the thing about you look at Dallas to me right now, they have a similar feel as last year's Hawks team had, where they kind of feel like a little bit of surprise. They're a little bit under the radar. And but they still, I think they look like they playing some of their best basketball. And even though Luka may not be right, he's still incredible is what he can do on the floor and the way he can affect the game in so many ways. Any given night, he can come out, he can pop a 30-point triple-double, no questions asked. The thing that concerns me and leaves me pause is what Phoenix does. One of their biggest strengths, I think, in this series is the ability to throw two different defenders against him, which I think could potentially give him problems, and they do it a little bit differently. When you look at a guy like Jay Crowder, who is a big man and physical and is going to be up in you, I think that could be potentially problematic. And then Mikal Bridges, a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year, he's not quite as physical, but elite quickness, and he's going to be pesky and with the ball pressure. So I really think in this series, I think that will decide the series. If Luka can be Luka and still be effective despite the fact that two just excellent defenders are going to have the task to slow him down, then I think Dallas will have a very good chance to win the series. But I'm not sure about that, because I do think Crowder and Bridges are worthy of our respect as defensive players in this league. But look, if Luka comes out there and is able to overcome that, and like I said, the supporting cast right now is playing tremendous ball, led by Jalen Brunson. But the contributions go up and down the roster, whether it be Dorian Finney-Smith. I think Reggie Bullock is a guy who's availed himself very well in Dallas. Dwight Powell, the pick and roll with him and Luka is something that's really a sight to see. Even my boy 42 out here is popping buckets for me. So look, I think Dallas, I think this is going to be a really competitive series. And you know what? I've been 50-50 on this for the whole show, thinking about it, trying to figure out where to go. But I'm gonna go Dallas. I'm gonna go Dallas in 6, because I can't imagine them winning games. I don't think that if it goes to a game 7, I think Phoenix will have the huge advantage being at home. But I'm putting my faith in Luka Doncic. I think he's able to do enough against guys like Crowder and Bridges. And even if they have success as a team defense of slowing him down, I think he'll be able to facilitate effectively and create shots for other guys. I think guys like Bullock, Finney-Smith, and then Brunson, he'll have a lot to do with this. I think they'll play extremely well. And I think Spencer Dinwiddie perhaps will be the X factor and play a much better series than he did against Utah. And Devin Booker, I think somewhat being limited perhaps early in this series, that'll be a huge deal. And then Chris Paul, I mean, I think Game 6, that's a flawless portrait of a performance. But the problem is, at his age, I don't think it's fair to expect that again. And so I think you may see a game or two where he's not quite himself. And because of that, and I know I'm going on a limb, I don't feel particularly comfortable with this, but I do think this will be very competitive. It'll be very tight. And I think Dallas will wind up winning.
Okay. And I just want to say this, right? You know how you made the stat early in the show, how like we had a lot of games that went 6, games or whatnot, and we only got, one sweep. I think not like going into this second series, I think we're gonna have a lot of games that go again like 6 or 7. I'm taking Phoenix in 7. And the reason being is because I think even if you don't have Chris Paul playing at elite level, but I think you have enough because you have Devin Booker coming in. We haven't really got a DeAndre Ayton game yet. I don't think. I think you could get one here coming up soon. And I think when I look at Dallas, because they like to play small ball, they got size, but they like to play small. Running out 42, that ain't gonna get it done against DeAndre.
That's right.
That's right. So and some of the other guys. So I think he got a chance to have a pretty good series in this series until coaches start making adjustments against each other. So yeah, man, I think with that said, no knock on Dallas. I think Dallas is going to be spectacular in this series. But somebody got to lose, somebody got to win. I'm gonna take Phoenix in 7 because Game 7 will be in Phoenix, Arizona.
So you do agree that this, like, because I do at face value, if you look at it, I think Phoenix is probably big favorites, or maybe not, but I think that's just what I feel. But you agree that it will be a very competitive series.
Yeah.
To me, this is a toss-up.
This is going 6 or 7. It's not as wacky as Minnesota and Memphis.
Right. Yes.
But it's so you got so many variables going in this, and it's no insight like some series, like we're gonna talk about Miami and Phoenix. I feel like it's a big insight in that game, and I'm gonna say it. But in Phoenix and Dallas, if you actually look at it, it's no what I'm trying to say, advantage. I'm sorry, that's what I'm trying to say. It's no major advantage for either team to me. Because even if you say Phoenix play really, really good defense, now I can say Dallas play enough offense where it doesn't matter. So, and Luka, when he's in the zone, I don't care how good your defense is.
That's right.
I don't know. That dude, he's going to turn up. So with that said, I just feel like it's too many variables to really give it to one team or another. I'm just going to go with Phoenix. I think they've been here before. They're more battle tested. And Game 7 is in Phoenix.
I do think, and just last point on this one, I do think the point you made about Ayton is one we cannot overlook. And I think if there's an advantage, a clear advantage, it's probably on the inside to Ayton, because I like Dwight Powell, but I think Ayton's just he's clearly another level of big man. I don't think he's quite got the size for that. And 42, I'm sorry. Yeah, he might draw a charge here and there, but forget about it. Do you think I would explore, if I'm Jason Kidd, playing Marjanovic some minutes just to give you some more size? And I'm not saying you can rely on him for an extended stretch, but just to have more size, I think you got to consider that.
Right, and he got 6 fouls, right? So
hey, no doubt.
If you
the thing about Marjanovic, like he's stuck in the mud on defense and all that.
Right.
But he's an effective offensive player that can help you, and he's going to rebound.
Because he's gonna make DeAndre Ayton work too. Like right. He put him in that paint and they dropped the ball in there. Yeah, Ayton, you got to do something. So no, I agree. But like we say, man, I feel like you can't roll that out until about Game 2 or 3. Because you roll that out in Game 1. Yeah, Phoenix gonna be like, oh, that's what we're doing now. Okay, cool. Hey, that's what we're doing. Okay, yeah, we on that one.
Put the State Farm commercials on hold. I like those, by the way. Moving on, the Miami Heat, the first 1 seed out in the East against the 4th seeded Philadelphia 76ers should be really entertaining. The Jimmy Butlers and the Joel Embiids combining. Drink, what do you see in this one?
Okay, so in this one, right? This gonna be a goodie for the hoodie, as they say. This is, man, I don't even know where I want to start. I usually want to start with the big man, but we can go down in the front courts. I mean, in the back courts first. I'm looking at Lowry and Hero, and I'm comparing them to Maxey and Harden. Now, here's my thing, right? This series should go 6 and Philly should win in 6. I'm gonna tell you why. And I know you like, hey, Drake, that's crazy. First of all, I feel like Philly has the best player in this whole series in Joel Embiid. I love myself some Jimmy Butler. I love myself some Bam Adebayo. But Joel Embiid is the best player in this series. Now, when you go to the second best player, if you want to put Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo in there, by all means, because the way James Harden playing, I don't know who this guy is. So that's that. You know what I'm saying? We going off right now. We going off history. Yes, James Harden would be the second best player in this series. But we going off right now in present time. Yeah, James Harden is probably the 4th best player in this series. I'm gonna be real with you, Jay. You know what I think this series come down to, legitimately? Just 3-point shooting. 3-point shooting. I think both of these teams can play defense when need to. I think both of these teams can score in the paint when they need to. Both of these teams are very high in the assist category. I mean, both of these teams are coached by championship winning coaches. Hell, dare I say, both of these teams got pretty good front offices. So fan base is good. I mean, I just feel like the team that be able to hit the 3 more consistently in each game, that's the team that's going to have a better advantage. Because Miami is not a big 3-point team when you take Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and guys like that. You take them out of the fray, they're not a big 3-point shooting team. Philly, on the other hand, I mean, James Harden used to be a big 3-point guy. I don't know where that went. Embiid, I mean, he's shooting it more now just to show he got the touch, but he'll rather dominate it in the paint. Danny Green go missing from time to time. Tyrese Maxey, okay, but I don't know if that's the only person you want to defend on. And I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like the most consistent 3-point shooter for the 76ers is George Niang. But, man, that man's such a liability on defense. I don't know how much time he's going to get in this series because, man, I just watched Toronto just target him play after play after play. I was like, Lord, man, he must really don't play defense. And every time I look, he really don't play defense. So that's going to be interesting to see once this series start. But yeah, Jay, I think this series is going to just come down to just plain old who can most consistently make 3-point shots.
Did you make a pick in that one?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. I think I said Philly in 6. Philly in 6.
Oh wow, Philly in 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's, man. I'd love to pick Philly, and I do agree. I think they certainly have the best player, and I think right now, from what I'm looking at, Miami's a little bit wounded right now. I feel like you got Lowry down right now, missed Game 5 with a hamstring. And I just read that he didn't practice today, and neither did Jimmy Butler, who missed Game 5 as well against the Hawks. PJ Tucker didn't practice, and there was one other Miami Heat player in their rotation that didn't practice as well. Anyway, that's a lot of key guys missing. So I think if those guys are in danger of missing some of the first game or 2 in Miami, then that could be a decided advantage for Philly. If Philly can win one of the games early, as an away team in a series, all you want to do in the first 2 games is get a split so you can get home court immediately. You can flip home court. And I think Philadelphia certainly has the talent to do that. But I mean, to me, I think with Philadelphia, if it's not Maxey, if Maxey doesn't provide the secondary scoring after Embiid, then I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be difficult for the 76ers. I don't feel like, I'm just uncomfortable right then from a scoring perspective because, and most of it has to do with James Harden because I don't know what's happened, but I've seen some good things lately when I'm watching with him, with his drive. It seems like his drive and the aggressiveness is back a little bit, but the step backs just ain't there right now. The shot is like, it's not there at all. And so now you have a situation where with the shot being, to me, somewhat of a liability, I mean, I got to feel like defenses are paying attention to that. And maybe you can play off him a little bit to better prepare for those drives. So I think Philadelphia, it's just going to Embiid, it's all about Embiid. He's going to have to carry this team. He's going to have to lead. He's going to have to be consistent. And if he's not, I think regardless, even if Miami's missing some guys, all their players are going to come out and give great effort, play tremendous defense. And my gut says Jimmy Butler and PJ Tucker are fine. I think they'll be there. And so even for me, if Lowry has to sit, I still think they have enough firepower coming off their bench to where they'll make up for some of the offense that he can provide. And I think, and you look at this, even with Embiid, I think when you look at this series, Bam Adebayo is a guy who I think is a guy who can win Defensive Player of the Year in this league. And he thought he was a big time snub for being a finalist for that award this year. Man, I don't know if there's a better matchup in when you talk about a guy who can guard Joel Embiid. And I'm not saying Bam can come out there and stop him, but I think he's good enough to make things really difficult and make Embiid earn every point he gets in this series. And then on the other side of that, not only that, but like another reason to be concerned about James Harden, or you're gonna have to go against Jimmy Butler and PJ Tucker potentially. So good luck. I mean, that's gonna be hard, man. When you got those guys coming at you, and those guys, they're gonna be relentless. They're gonna be in your face. You're not gonna be able to overpower them. I think it's gonna be tough. I think Miami's defense is one of the best in this league, and the individual matchups that they can throw at you, unless the injuries really turn out to be a big deal in this series, I think Miami wins this, and I think Miami wins this in 6.
Okay, now before I do the next one, I just want to say this, and I said 3-point shooting, but maybe I should just say James Harden is key to all this, right? But I have this feeling that James Harden is starting to get his footing under him a little bit. Like I felt like, because you think about this, it's been a little while because he last year Brooklyn made it to the playoffs and he only played 1 game, 2 games, something like that. He didn't play much. So he never got back in rhythm. Long off season, then we know what happened this season. And now this season, he played 6 games already. And now I think he's just starting to get his rhythm back. So I'm leaning on the side of optimism that he's gonna play a lot better than what we think he's gonna play. I think he's gonna be more than just an opportunity creator for his team. And I think he's gonna actually be somewhat aggressive. Now, with that said, I'm not saying we're gonna get this James Harden and all that. We ain't getting the chef and the cook and all that other stuff he's doing in Houston. But I think we'll get at least a James Harden where we say, oh, it was James Harden. Okay, I thought my buddy was lying. I think we'll get enough of that. And that's why I just feel confident about Philly. Don't get me wrong. I like Miami. Miami is probably the best team defensively, probably between them and Boston with the way Boston been playing. But at the end of the day, I just feel like the cream rise to the top. And we'll see. I mean, I don't foresee Jimmy Butler just dropping off these 40-point games like he was doing in the first round. I think Philly could play a little defense too when they want to. But that's my theory behind that. Moving on. We got the Boston Celtics versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Jay, Nah, I just said something about defense. Man, it seemed like the East is really playing some defense.
Absolutely.
I just said something about defense in the last game, and now this game is probably going to be the epitome of defense. We got some first team all NBA defensive guys slapped all around this piece. We got I want to say the last year defensive player of the year, and now this year defensive player of the year playing in this series, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know, Jay. This one gonna get a little spicy. What say you?
Hey man, this is this has the feel almost of I feel like Bucks Nets last year. I feel like this is gonna be something really special to watch. I swear, I really hope it's better than Celtics and Nets just was, because I was looking forward to that one, and that was a straight up dud, a non-exploding round. Look, man. By the way, I'm not disagreeing one bit about Miami or Boston perhaps being the best defense in whatever league. Okay. But man, don't sleep on Milwaukee defensively, because what we saw in the last 3 games of their first round series in Chicago was something special. In 4 of the 5 games, they held Chicago to 100 points or less. And you just don't see that in today's NBA game. I mean, everybody's in the 1-teens, it seems. So, man, and I know, and the thing about it is one of the things I said when Middleton got hurt was that they might take a hit on offense, but I think they can compensate by playing better defense. And I think that's what they did. Now, I think Middleton, he's already been ruled out for that series. That's a huge deal, and that could swing it. But I think, man, my gut still says Milwaukee. I'm gonna take Milwaukee in 7. I think it'll go to full 7, and that's going a little bit against the grain because they'd have to win Game 7 in Boston. But these are the defending champs. These are no longer that team a few years ago who we thought of them as somewhat soft, and any little bit of adversity would just have them I have flailing in the wind. So this is a fascinating matchup for multiple reasons. As we said, we talk about the best player in the series. I don't think there's any question that that's Giannis.
Right.
Now, Boston right now, when you look at what they're doing, there can be no question that it feels like Jason Tatum. If the Boston Celtics win this series, I think it'll be because Jason Tatum has truly arrived, and I think we can officially declare him as a no doubt superstar in this league with what he's doing. But it's certainly not only him. This is an absolute team effort. And the thing that's going to be fascinating to watch is you hear about teams all the time. You got to build a wall with Giannis. Boston certainly has the personnel to build that wall. Everybody in their starting lineup has some level of physicality. I think Boston's going to try a lot of different defenders with him to start. But anytime he drives, he's got to look. His decision making is going to have to be the most important thing I think Giannis can do is this series is pass the ball and hit the open guy, because Boston, I don't think their mission in this series will be to not let him beat them. They will make these other guys. They'll make Wes Matthews. They'll make Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton, Brooke Lopez, all these guys pop threes before they'll let Giannis just come in here and just run over people like a runaway freight train. I don't think they're going to allow that. The second thing for Milwaukee is the thing about, because we talk about Drew Holiday all the time and how much we love him as a player overall, but especially what he's able to do defensively. The interesting thing about this series that I see is Boston doesn't have an elite level point guard or because they got such a big starting lineup that it's like, who is Drew Holiday going to guard? Is he going to try to check Jaylen Brown? I mean, I guess Jaylen Brown makes the most sense, but that's going to be tough on him because Jaylen Brown has really good size.
He can go up Marcus Smart.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think you're making the best use of Drew Holiday's talent if you put him on Marcus Smart.
Oh, okay, I get what you. Okay.
Now the thing about it is, if you do let Drew Holiday guard Marcus Smart, then what that tells me is you're saying, Drew, we're going to let the other guys in this series worry about it because this ain't the best matchup. But what we want from you is we need you to score the ball really effectively because we need to compensate for Chris Middleton. I'm not saying Budenholzer going to do that. But we saw some crazy things last year from Budenholzer. When Drew Holiday's at there guarding Kevin Durant, I'm just so confused. I'm like, this ain't gonna work. So I'm wondering, does Drew Holiday get a shot at Jason Tatum? If he does, I think that's some sort of a mismatch. I'm not saying Holiday can't guard him, but you're automatically at a disadvantage because you just don't have the size. So how Mike Budenholzer deploys Drew Holiday on the defensive end, that's going to be something that's really worth watching. I'm not sure if he guards Marcus Smart, that's a great use of him, but maybe just due to the size makeup, that's what you do. I'm not sure about that. But the supporting cast beyond Tatum and Giannis, I mean, Boston's team defense has been outstanding. I think again their focus will be to keep Giannis from beating you. So then you have to look around and say, does their supporting cast, will they be able to hit enough shots? From the way they playing right now, when you look at guys like Grayson Allen, and I think and you can throw in, I think, Wes Matthews and Pat Connaughton, and then don't forget, I mean, the X factor in this series, I think, is Bobby Portis. Because when you look at Boston's front line and how physical they can be, I mean, Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, I think Ibaka might get some run in this series too, because Boston have such elite size. I think they're going to make use of all the big guys that Milwaukee has. And I think the key to this series, the defining factor will be because of all the elite size, whichever team can control the glass will win the series. And I think Milwaukee has the personnel to do it, and I think they will. And look, Giannis, the best player in the world, he's going to show you that he is. Not necessarily, but I don't think he does it necessarily with all the great scoring, even though they won't be able to stop him, but they will have a great plan to try to contain him. His passing and his willingness to trust his teammates, and don't be out. I don't think this is a series to be out here playing around the 3-point line. Trust your teammates. Let them help you. They got championship experience. That they'll take care of them. I believe that.
All right, I ain't got that much, but I got something. I'm gonna start out. I think, listen, when you in game one, Budenholzer has to start Drew Holiday either on Tatum or Brown. Whether it's a mismatch or not, we'll figure that part out. But he has to start his best perimeter defender on one of their best perimeter players. That's just how I gotta go. I mean, I said Marcus Smart just to be like a little smart aleck, but at the end of the day, he would have to guard one of those two players first. Like, I would lose my grits if I would seen in game one, you got Drew Holiday, real deal, guarding Marcus Smart. No disrespect to Marcus Smart. He can play, but he ain't Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown on the offense side of the ball.
But do you think there's something to the argument to be made that because of no Chris Middleton, you're going to need Drew Holiday to score the ball? So is there something to trying to protect him on the defensive end?
Well, yeah, but what does it matter if you're getting torched already? So if you got Jason Taylor or Jaylen Brown out here going bananas, it's like at some point, even let's say, even if they're not going crazy, right? And you're in the game, and then all of a sudden they have a hot quarter. Not a hot game, but a hot quarter. And you end up losing the game for that. Guess what? You're going to make an adjustment in game two. What that adjustment going to do? Focus more on whatever player that got hot, whether it's Tatum, Brown, or whoever. So you're going to end up taking Drew Holiday and forcing him to be more of a defender anyway, just because how these two young fellas play. Do you need his points? Absolutely. What I would do is I would try to put the onus on like some of the other guys that score, the Grayson Allens. I get it. They're not Drew Holiday. They don't make Drew Holiday money. I got that. But they're also the guys that you can kind of like cheat with a little bit to say, all you're going to do is play help defense. You're not a primary one-on-one defensive stopper like Drew Holiday. So we're going to need y'all to focus more on filling up the basket and playing help defense. And that way, Drew Holiday can kind of have a primary assignment. Because, I mean, points is good. But if the other dude is hotter than fish grease, as Mark Davis say, you just going to let him score because you need Holiday to score? You just going to let the other guy score? I don't know. I don't think that's an efficient plan. So, I mean, and like I said, this is game one. After game one, there are going to be adjustments, right? So we're going to see how that goes. But I'm just saying for game one, in the beginning, I think Drew Holiday got to be on one of those two guys from the front point, and then we'll see how that goes. To your point about Giannis and building the wall. Building the wall was a good term, I think, 2-3 years ago. I don't think a team like the Boston Celtics, unless somebody get hurt, I don't think they necessarily have to build a wall. I think they can play good defense by they can stymie. They can stymie Giannis without completely selling out with the wall because of the size of their team. Man, listen, I know I had a lot of stuff to say about how Boston was flopping around and Brad Stevens being in the GM and Udoka coming here and all that. They done built this team pretty well. And when you talk about the length, the size, I think it's enough to, start getting Giannis frustrated, start getting Giannis to pick up offensive fouls, start getting Giannis to make plays that's not like Giannis. I think the Celtics can play some defense without building that wall. I really do. Listen, because you got to think about this. Giannis' game is predicated on driving. He's a physical guy, meaning he opened himself up to a lot of offensive mistakes, offensive fouls, travels, turnovers, stuff like that. Kevin Durant game was more built on shooting, and they still was able to make him uncomfortable. And he would rather shoot the ball, meaning when you do it that way, you might miss more shots, but you're not prone to as many offensive mistakes because you're a shooter than a driver is. So I think Boston, honestly, if they actually think about it, with no Chris Middleton, right, they actually could play a little more of, I ain't gonna say man to man, like, because that'd be ridiculous, but they could play a little less of the whole building the wall and play, maybe get a primary defender, have another defender cheat over, leave, whoever you got to leave, somebody going to get left over. So hopefully somebody didn't come to play or whatnot, lead them open, double Giannis, make Giannis get the ball out of his hand. But because you got to understand, Giannis is a smarter player too. So he's not going to just hold the ball and, create a useless turnover for nothing. He will get the ball out of his hand. And that's all you want, is for Giannis to get the ball out of his hand. As long as he get the ball out of his hand, you feel like you won on that possession. So I feel like Boston got a good chance of doing that. On the flip side, one of the things I think that worked very well for the Bucks is we know what the role is for every player. It's no distinguishing this. We know Giannis is the guy. Everything goes off Giannis. We know Drew Holiday is second in command now. We know that. We also know when it comes to defense, we know who the first two guys is. Those two guys. Now, when you start adding in the Brook Lopez's of the world, the Bobby Porters of the world, the Grayson Allens, the Pat Connaughtons, those guys, those are the guys where you're going to need them to really step up what they do a lot more. I think Drew, in my opinion, you need Drew Holiday to step up. Don't get me wrong. But I really think you got to focus on those other guys to step up more and let Drew Holiday worry about trying to take a player out of the game like he does. Because I think that's going to matter in this one. You know how I said I think it's going to be up to threes in the last series? I think this one's going to be about attrition. I think we're going to have some guys that be in and out in this series. This is going to be a physical one, folks. So this is going to be a war on attrition. But with that said, I think this series goes 7. I'm going to take the Bucks in 7.